All right, and moving on, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has warned Cuba that the U.S. is laser-focused on changing the communist system governing Cuba for decades. Speaking to reporters in Miami, Rubio said that the U.S. preferred a diplomatic solution, but added that the likelihood of a negotiated agreement with Cuba was not high. Rubio also warned that President Trump has other options to perceived threats. Listen to this.
The president's preference is always a negotiated agreement that's peaceful. That's always our preference. That remains our preference with Cuba. I'm just being honest with you. The likelihood of that happening, given who we're dealing with right now, is not high. But if they have a change of heart, we're here. And in the meantime, we'll keep doing what we need to do.
Rubio also said that Cuba has tentatively accepted U.S. offer of $100 million in aid in return for reforms. But Rubio warned that Washington would not allow the aid to fall into the hands of the military-backed enterprise that dominates Cuba's economy.
Are we offended that the Cubans have not accepted our $100 million? Well, they say they've accepted it. We'll see if that means it. Because here's the thing. We're not going to do humanitarian aid that falls into the hands of their military company that they have, and then they take that stuff and they sell it at the dollar stores and put the money in their pocket. That's not going to work that way.
Later in a post on X, Rubio said that the sister of Cuban military conglomerate chief has been arrested and is now in the custody of ICE. Separately, U.S. President Donald Trump has suggested that a U.S. intervention in Cuba is imminent. Speaking to reporters at the Oval Office, Trump said that previous U.S. presidents considered intervening in Cuba for decades, but he will be the one who finally does it.
Other presidents have looked at this for 50, 60 years doing something, and it looks like I'll be the one that does it, so we'd be happy to do it. We want to open it up to Cuban Americans where they can go back and help.
Responding to Rubio's comments, Cuban Foreign Minister Bruno Rodriguez accused him of provoking military aggression and falsely labeling Cuba as a state sponsor of terrorism. Rodriguez said that Cuba poses no threat to United States security and accused Washington of intentionally provoking economic collapse and social desperation on the island. As tensions escalate, EU's Foreign Policy Chief Kaja Kallas has called for ending control and isolation of Cubans. Speaking during a visit to Mexico, Kallas said that Cuba's economic crisis is now reaching a breaking point. Meanwhile, the U.S. Supreme Court on Thursday ruled in favor of a dogs company whose property in Havana was confiscated under former Cuban leader Fidel Castro. The 8-1 ruling by the court could pave the way for other American firms to make claims for assets seized after the island's 1959 communist revolution.